Hello and welcome to Business Incorporated live on Channels Television. Well, it's the last trading week of October and the last trading day. Here's what's coming up. Interbank rates in Nigeria hit 11-month low amid easing funding pressures. We'll find out what this means for banks and borrowers. And we'll dig into latest earnings from Nigerian companies, who's booming, who's battling headwinds, and what it means for the markets. Plus, the Nairobi Stock Exchange hits a 4-year high as investors' wealth surges by 13%. It's great to have you join us. I'm Ladi Williams. Let's quickly get into what's playing out with the markets, and we get a latest on oil prices now. 0.37% down. That's for Brent crude. So we're still seeing weakness for this last trading day of October. $64.76 a barrel. That's for Brent crude. WTI crude still holding on to the $60 level. So this $60 level just might hold. We'll definitely find out by the evening trade today when the market closes. Investors, I guess, look out for November, at some point. But let's get a check on what's playing out with the metals market. Now, we're seeing gold prices slip today as the dollar firmed on uncertainty over further federal rates cuts, although the bullion was still set for its third consecutive monthly gain. And we see spot gold there just marginally down, but still above that $4,000 psychological level. U.S. gold futures, $4,021, 0.1% up. On the flip side, we see spot silver, $48.50 per ounce, 0.27% down. Platinum, a big drop there, 1.43% down, $1,592. And palladium in the green, 0.22%. So it's a mixed picture with the metals that we track. But for what we see here, U.S. gold futures in the green right there. All right, let's get a check on other news now. And that's back here in Nigeria. We see the Nigeria's Interbank call rate dropped to an 11-month low at 24.5%. That's in October 2025, signaling an easing of liquidity pressures in the banking sector and also reflecting improved funding conditions. Analysts point to a combination of lower government borrowing in the domestic market, a reduced cash reserve ratio, that's a CRR for banks, and the calmer macroeconomic conditions, including stabilized inflation and stronger external reserves. Those are the key drivers behind that decline there for interbank rates. Then we see the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, that's the ICRC. They've hailed Nigeria's removal from the Financial Action Task Force grey list as a landmark development that will boost investor confidence and open new channels for infrastructure financing. Speaking on the significance of the move, ICRC Director General Dr. Jobson Seodion also described the delisting as a game changer that strengthens Nigeria's financial credibility and positions the country as one of Africa's most attractive investment destinations. He said the development signals improved financial governance and risk transparency, paving the way for increased private sector participation in public-private partnerships aimed at bridging Nigeria's $2.3 trillion infrastructure deficit. And Africa's premier artificial intelligence and intelligent automation trade show and conference is underway in Johannesburg, South Africa. Organizers say the event connects enterprise buyers with both global and local suppliers and features the inaugural United Nations UN AI for Good Impact Africa, held under the theme curating a world-class program from global and local thought leaders. Our South Africa correspondent, Innocent Sumosa, has more.
From real-world case studies to tech demos, organizers says the event aims to engage delegates on the current and emerging state of the art, showcasing best practices available, technologies, cloud platforms, deployment challenges, and ethical considerations, all while highlighting Africa's vibrant innovation and startup ecosystem driving the industry forward.
Yeah, basically we founded the event in 2018. It was in response to the fact there was no real business event focused on connecting buyers and suppliers, investors and startups. So we started in Cape Town with about 700 people. And after COVID, the event grew here in Johannesburg. This is the 4th edition we've done in Johannesburg, the 8th in total. And I think we're around 3,500 delegates registered so far, and a much bigger speaking program, workshop program. We do CPD certified training courses. So it's grown over the time, but it's grown a lot faster after COVID.
The delegates say African governments and tech innovators must ensure that AI development aligns with the continent's social, ethical, and cultural values while still promoting innovation.
One thing to understand is at our core, we believe in ownership for our clients. We don't believe that you should be renting your AI, you should own your AI, and we provide a solution to do that. So in this case, we really believe that Africa should be sovereign and that they should not have to rely on foreign entities for their incredible AI tools and usage.
And these are some of the African countries he's eyeing.
But South Africa obviously is a big one, which is why we're here. And in Western Africa, Nigeria and Ghana are very interested in what we're doing.
For us personally, as I mentioned, that we're from the UK, but we have people over here in Africa that we're working with. One of the goals that we want to do is we want to employ locally, so we're not going to be bringing people over from the UK to turn around and do all of the work over here. It will all be everything local, training people.
He says AI development is critically important and has the potential to address challenges in health, agriculture, education, and climate change.
So our software you can use for any business. It can be for personal, it can be for your business, it can be for your enterprise. The reason is because the AI understands by looking at your data and give you solutions instead of having to just prompt.
As Africa positions itself to harness the power of artificial intelligence, the message is clear. Innovation must go hand in hand with responsibility, ensuring that technology serves the continent's people and progress. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Innocent Samosa, Channels Television News.
All right, thank you so much, Innocent. Well, let's get a check on what's playing out with the markets now, starting on the African continent. Yeah, we did see the NGX there. That's looking better than what we've seen for the past 3 days. 0.17%, 153,932 points. That's for the all-share index. Right there, you see a lot of earnings rolling in so far. A lot rolled in yesterday, and we're expecting more earnings from most of the listed companies. We'll see how that drives investor confidence. But it seems like Friday might end up in the green from what we're seeing right now in today, 0.17%. For the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, 109,589 points, 7 basis points down right there at intraday. Let's see what's playing out with other markets there. The EGX 30, 0.10%. I guess that's for yesterday's trade. That has to be closed today. The Nairobi Stock Exchange closing the green, big, 0.95%, hitting an all-time high right there. It's a 4-year high, at this point for the Nairobi Stock Exchange at 184. So I guess no index is left out from the rallies we've seen so far. Let's get a check now on the Gulf region. We know the UAE is still trading at intraday. That's for the UAE Dubai index and the Abu Dhabi index. Saudi Arabia, I think, is mostly negative right there. A big 1.09% drop for the Dubai Abu Dhabi index. 10,099 points. Let's look at Saudi Arabia now, and the Qatari index. They did close, mixed yesterday, but the Tadawul in Saudi Arabia, a big drop, 0.82% close yesterday. Let's get a check on U.S. Stock futures now. They rose today as investors, digesting strong quarterly results from tech giants like Amazon, Apple, and we'll see the tech-heavy Nasdaq there, 26,000 points, a big 1.21%. That's for the Nasdaq futures. S&P futures 0.66%. So the biggest mover we have there, that's for the Nasdaq, and that's signaling what we might see when the markets open right there there in the US. Let's get a check on Asia markets now. For the Asian markets, we did see a mixed picture, but the Nikkei, a big 2.12% rise there to close, but the Hang Seng Index on the flip side down 1.43% to close. Let's get a check on the Nifty 50. That's all parts of Asia now. That's for India. We see the Nifty 50 did close in the green yesterday, but we'll see a pullback now, 0.60%, 25,722 points. All right, let's take it on to Europe now. Let's get a check on what's playing out in Europe. We see the court in The Hague is replacing its Microsoft programs with a German product. There's a political background here, and of course, we'll see if that's okay. Let's bring in Lars Halter now with the details. Hello, Lars. Before we go into that, how are the markets looking right there in Europe? Last trading day.
Certainly, Ladi. How are you doing? Good to be with you. It's another slow day. I'm getting really tired of telling you this.
Don't get tired.
But it is really another day where we're just seeing the DAX barely moving. It's slightly negative territory. And that is, despite the fact that we've had a real busy week here for markets, we've had a ton of numbers over the last couple of days. We've had the Fed, of course, lowering interest rates, and we had the ECB leaving the interest rate here unchanged. Of course, both had been expected, Ladi. We had some other economic data, and yet there is literally nothing moving the DAX really up or down in a decisive way. And some analysts in Frankfurt, I'm telling you, are getting quite frustrated, as other markets, of course, have been moving higher, including, of course, the Dow Jones on Wall Street. And I think that's an important point, some are saying that the US markets, for example, could be seeing an AI bubble with those tech stocks, Nvidia and such, super strong performers. So maybe not running up so steep could also be a good thing. I don't know, but it's where we're at, Ladi, with another rather flat market towards the end of the week now.
All right, well, I guess we're looking up to November to see if we have some fun right there in Europe with the market. But we see the International Criminal Court in The Hague, they're installing German software on their computers, replacing Microsoft Windows. What's behind this switch?
Yeah, Ladi, it's an interesting story, really. First of all, we have to maybe talk about quickly what the International Criminal Court is. That's an intergovernmental organization and an international tribunal. And it's the only permanent international court with jurisdiction to prosecute individuals for international crimes like genocide or crimes against humanity or war crimes. Now, obviously, this gets that court into the political spotlight regularly, including these days when it has arrest warrants out for Russia's Vladimir Putin or for Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, those countries, however, they are not the problem for the court. The United States is the problem because US President Trump says that the court is out of order, especially with regards to the warrant against his close friend Netanyahu. And Trump is already sanctioning members of the court. Now, the court is worried that sanctions could soon include US companies being banned from even supplying the court, and that would mean that the court could lose its Microsoft licenses.
So what exactly are they doing, in The Hague to prevent problems?
Yeah, Ladi, they've already done a lot. They have downloaded backup of all the files, all the data that the court even had, and now they're about to sign with the Center for Digital Sovereignty. That is a German group owned by the federal government in Berlin. That center has a software package available. It's called OpenDesk, and it comprises software developed by all kinds of developers in Europe, not only in Germany. And it's able to replace the entire Microsoft Windows package. There are components for text processing and data tables like, of course, Word or Excel. There's email, there's chat components like Outlook, there's a cloud server, there's video conferencing, and the best thing is it's all open source. So this is not a corporate tool with licenses and secretive code, but it's all out and published. It's more transparent, and it can be better protected against outside meddling. The court says that the switch to the new system of software here could now happen over the next couple of months.
All right, thank you so much. Lars, I guess at this point, I'll see you in November.
That's right, Ladi, looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, so other stories now. The G20 summit is just a few weeks away, and we'll have a great focus on the global economy as it directly relates to energy and minerals. The recent trade agreements and meetings with the U.S., Japan, South Korea, and China will also be a key conversation during the G20. Washington correspondent Maria Bird had a conversation with a senior advisor of PowerShift Africa.
The World Bank and IMF annual meetings really set the tone, particularly right now with all of the changes, geopolitical changes and shifts. A lot of the discussions had to do, with the continuation of the job theme. So that continues to be quite a big theme in terms of development. But what was very much different about these specific meetings was the shift from, setting new priorities to how do we action them out? So how is it that we implement everything that we've set forward, from the energy strategy that has been put forward to the job agenda? They're now starting to speak about minerals and metals as well. So we are starting to see a lot of the bank's work shift towards action. So how do we action things out as opposed to having the discussions and having new themes every single year? And that was quite refreshing. And I have been attending the meetings for some time, both the springs and the annuals. And for some time, it felt like, there was no movement, particularly with the shifts, with the U.S. presidency, because that came with also influence towards the bank. I mean, the U.S. does have very big influence within the bank, but the bank is starting to really shift away from the politics to let's focus on development, and their priorities like the climate agenda was shaky at some point, but countries were starting to be firm. So shareholders are starting to be firm to say sustainability needs to be an important part. Infrastructure is an important part. So it was quite refreshing. And I think it really feeds well into the G20 presidency, because the G20 presidency then feeds into political will. So you can have the decisions at the bank, but what does political will within these respective countries look like? And South Africa is planning to really push for that. And even in some of the engagements that were happening, because there were meetings at the IMF meetings by the G20 presidency of South Africa, and that was mainly focused on how do we then connect the development agenda at the bank with the political will component.
And that was Karabo Maguire of Power Africa. All right, let's get a check now on how the crypto market is looking today. That's for the TGIF trade. I was seeing Bitcoin looking much better than most of the altcoins right here. See XRP, Solana, Ethereum, BNB, all of them in the red. But Bitcoin, 0.65% up, 109,000, I guess making a run for $110,000. Let's have a talk now with Chuta Chimeze, founder of Blockchain Nigeria user group. Hello, Chimeze, good to have you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, Ladi. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. It's been a while. And definitely, looking at the month of October, seems Bitcoin didn't really do well. About 7% down. How are you seeing that?
My brother, we traditionally know October as an October month in crypto, and all of a sudden it turned to a Rectober month, and we've never seen an October that had this kind of red lines on the market. But again, I think it's consistent with what we've been experiencing since the beginning of the year when the current US president took over. He has not been very consistent, even though about $20 billion have entered the market since January when he took over. But currently, his continuous rhetorics have not been helpful at all in helping to stabilize the market.
Right, but I guess even being around these highs alone, I guess we could attribute that to Donald Trump's impact, on Bitcoin so far. So, at this point, do you think institutional investors are still, stacking up more Bitcoin, or are they taking profit gradually?
Well, to be honest with you, there's a lot of manipulation in the market, and to tell you the truth, I don't think any fund manager is sleeping on any opportunity to dive into the market at the slightest chance. While you were aware, you know that the President of the United States pardoned CZ, and that on its own was also a market booster of a sort, and it brought some kind of insight to what we are expecting to see in terms of stability in regulation and in the overall oversight in the market. So investors are looking at all of these because without a clear-cut and visible pathway for you to like predict what will happen in the market, most investors, especially institutional investors, will play it safe, and that's what they are doing right now, playing it safe to make sure that they don't lose investors' fund.
Right. We know, with the crypto market, there's always a narrative, that drives sentiment with, a couple of altcoins and the market generally. Well, looking at 2025, would you say there was a narrative that drove this market?
Well, to be frank with you, the narratives could have been easy to predict, but I think much of it has been basically driven by the Solana kind of DJs that are creating tons of tokens every day. And you find out that really good new money isn't coming into the space, and what we are seeing is money moving from one project today to another project tomorrow and another project next tomorrow. Very rare do you see new money coming, and it worries a lot of people who thought that the market could be, in any way navigating towards a bull run at this time. But that being said, I think AI closely will come to a narrative that would have worked, but I don't think that really played out very well because the people who are the guys we call the DJs, they are more interested in tokens that will pump today and dump tomorrow, and that is actually what has been driving the retail side of the market as it is now.
And do you think this continues into November, or will we see some kind of difference?
Well, it's obvious now that the traditional market patterns have shifted. So I don't really have so much confidence that we're going to see the usual November pump as it has been every 4 years. Okay? But I don't think it's impossible. We're still looking at what will come out from the meeting that Trump is expected to be having with the Chinese president. He has not done anything. Yesterday, the rate cut from the Federal Reserve didn't do much other than to dump the market. So I think there's so much uncertainty in the market. So I will advise everyone to just be very careful the way you enter the market and don't play with the money that you are not ready to lose.
It's quite interesting. We still see gold at all-time highs. At this point, still holding on to the $4,000 level. Gold, Bitcoin is supposed to be that digital gold. It doesn't seem to be acting like digital gold at this point. So is it safe to say things have changed a lot, when it comes to the crypto market, and right now no one knows how to actually make profit in this market?
The beautiful thing about Bitcoin is that people who are risk averse, have a way of dealing with it. I mean, if your risk appetite is high, definitely is a better asset to trade, or aside from gold, of course, because the Bitcoin price could pump 5-10%, but don't see gold pump in that manner anyway. So for most people who are playing the Bitcoin game and the crypto game, they like it as it is, because it enables them to don't forget that whether the market goes up or comes down, there are a lot of people who make money. I mean, if you are trading leverages and you're using futures position, you make sure that you are timing the market properly and you're able to bet properly. Definitely you'll be able to make money when it's going down or when it's going up. And in that type of money, you don't see it in gold. You don't get that type of opportunity to. I mean, you can turn $10,000 around using features if you know what you're doing, but you don't really have that kind of opportunity to do that in gold.
Yeah, definitely. So much for investors to take in at this time with different asset classes. Well, thank you so much, Chuta Chimezie, founder of Blockchain Nigeria User Group. Great having you. I'll see you again sometime soon.
Thank you, Ladi.
All right, there you have it. Yeah, as markets go up or down, someone's making money somehow, but it depends on the information that you have to make money in most of these markets. Thanks for watching Business Incorporated in this month of October. I'll see you again in November. I'm Ladi Williams. Bye for now.